All right, so I talked about our focus for today's panel. We're gonna jump right in. And my first question, Vickiana, is gonna be for you.
Okay.
You've been a champion of social equity through cannabis education and a champion for opportunity, real opportunity for legacy. So we want you to talk about the work that you are doing and what you have built in terms of the cannabis education program at Medgar Evers. But before that, we're going to start where we should, and that's with legacy. So I want you to start talking about your passion for the legacy market and why social equity must start and end with legacy.
Okay, thank you for having me. So, in preparation for the minor degree program that we created at Medgar Evers College, there was a lot of research that was conducted so that we can make sure that these curricula will reflect authenticity, workforce development, and a lot of different topics. And as I got to meet a lot of people in the cannabis industry, I met some amazing legacy constituents. I already had known legacy because I was born and bred here in Brooklyn, New York, and in the areas where I lived, there was no gentrification, but a lot of legacy constituents are part of the community. So as I started developing this program at Medgar Evers, we started talking to more and more different legacy constituents. And what we discovered was that they kick ass. They just do. This is something that I've known my life because they've been around me, but now we have the evidence with data to demonstrate that they kick ass. So we have data that supports that they are one of the most effective types of business communities. They hit the profit factor, the people factor, and the planet factor, which makes them extremely sustainable as a entity in a market. And outside of the fact that they kick ass, they also are very big champions of the communities that they serve. And so, you know, what I'm noticing in the field now is that there's always someone with no magic telling other people about their abracadabra. Woo. And they shouldn't be doing that with legacy. So if we want sustainability, we need to start with them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kenneth, your experience, professional experience, spans both the public and the private sectors. As I mentioned, you're a Black Brooklyn entrepreneur yourself, and your work in city government currently focuses on advancing Black entrepreneurship by increasing the number of Black-owned businesses in the city, supporting their growth through development, management, fundraising. Can you talk to us about how New York City is stepping up to help communities like Bed-Stuy learn about and how to take advantage of all of the opportunities in the emerging New York market? Tell us a little more about the Cannabis NYC initiative that was just launched.
Gotta turn my mic on before I start talking. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. We didn't get a big introduction for our moderator. I want to say a big thank you to our moderator, Jason Starr. Jason and I met about 2 years back, about 3 years back. It was like the last in-person event before the world shut down with the pandemic. And we were in a room with a number of predominantly Black and brown professionals in politics and government talking about building community. And when I tell you that is at the heart of what Jason does as a fighter and a community builder, I can't tell you anybody more aptly named than Jason Starr to really lead that charge. So I just want to thank you for bringing us all together.
Thank you, thank you.
So I'm the inaugural Executive Director and Chief Development Officer of Black Entrepreneurs NYC. We're an initiative, as you mentioned, of the New York City Department of Small Business Services, and really, it's a real benefit for me to be able to come to work every day with the purpose of my work in my job title, to be unapologetic about identifying where we can be a better resource as city government to help create opportunity in the Black community for business ownership and for entrepreneurship. So we're trying to provide information and resources. We're getting to where people are to tell them how to start a business. If you've started a business, how you can make your business more impactful in your community by scaling up your business, bringing on more people as employees, and basically enhancing economic opportunity that Black businesses create, in addition to the tremendous resources that they provide for our city. So that's at the heart of what we do at BNYC. And as part of that as well, before the MARTA legislation came online, we were really behind the scenes working to convene actors in city government to try and talk about how our government can and should be a resource to help when this industry becomes live in New York, to make sure that it's equitable, to make sure that the communities that have been, predisposed to being impacted by the federal war on drugs would be at the front of the line when it came time to the economic opportunity provided. And not just that, but also front of mind when thinking about the impact of this industry in the community. So fast forward a little bit, and the legislation's passed, and just in April, Mayor Eric Adams announced the city's commitment of approximately $5 million to advance an equitable development of the cannabis industry in New York City, and for that initiative to be housed at the Department of Small Business Services. And so Cannabis NYC is a first of its kind initiative that is going to be focused right now, as we are running 30 days until the end of September with the card licenses, to provide information to people who are trying to apply for the conditional adult use recreational dispensary licenses, to make sure you have an assessment of your qualifications, to make sure you have all the documentation correct, and to walk you through the application process to maximize your chances of actually getting a license. And then beyond that, thinking about how we can get out into the community, leveraging voices, leveraging people who are trusted, leveraging organizations that are already doing this work to communicate what the opportunities are. And doing that will also translate into the long-term development of a workforce, which, as Chair Wright spoke to, it goes outside of the plant-touching industries into other businesses that will be bringing people on, that will be going very hard to support this thriving industry. And so we're trying to provide all of those resources in a one-stop shop for New Yorkers, with a focus, as this administration's focus has been, and as my focus, I can tell you, my role will always be on making sure that equity is at the table, front and center.
Amazing, amazing. Let's give it up for Kenneth. I'm sitting here thinking, like, between like 1990 and 2021, I think the data is there were 1 million arrests for simple possession of marijuana, even though we decriminalized marijuana in New York State in 1977. And I don't have to tell you that the majority of those arrests were from Black and brown young people, communities like Bed-Stuy, like Crown Heights, East New York. And now we're sitting here at Bed-Stuy Restoration having a conversation with city government, with university administrator, where people from our community aren't getting locked up for smoking weed, but they can go and get a college degree in cannabis and get support and help to start a new business or to join a workforce. So let's just give it up for legalization. Let's give it up for Black and brown people not going to jail for some shit that people are making millions and billions of dollars off. We gonna do our best to get this stuff right here, but we gotta remember where we were just a few years ago, okay? So, Shice.
Yo.
As a legacy entrepreneur, you built a business that married culture and cannabis. So just talk about your history, your long history as a legacy operator, but also as a job creator and a community economic foundation.
Hello. Is this mic up? You can hear me? All right. My name is Shice Bubs. I am a co-founder and owner in a company called the Smokers Club, which is a national touring company and also merchandising company. This year we put on one of our biggest festivals ever, San Bernardino, California, 38,000 people. So our vision for cannabis has been growing. Coming from the legacy market, I've been in for basically 30 years, selling weed in the black market. To to see a day like this where you talking about college degrees and stuff like that, it's kind of crazy because I didn't go to college, you know what I'm saying? And my cannabis journey started all the way back then in high school when I was making a decision whether I was gonna go to college or not. And when I started initially making money off of cannabis back then, I kind of like paved my path because I've been actually, until basically I would say 3 years ago, actively operating in the black market. So, you know, there's an evolution there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm one of I would say a pool worth of legacy operators in New York City that know the pain of, you know, waking up in the morning and not just on some like getting money, on survival mode of being like, there's not too many options. I didn't choose college, so being a lawyer, those are things, a choice that I would have had to make. You know what I'm saying? Is being like, I want to stop what I'm doing. I want to dedicate time all these years to doing this when I already chose the money, because we all love money, you know what I mean? And I think that's why everyone wants to be in cannabis, because it's not just a money grab, but it's a money opportunity for you to, you know, get generational wealth. And as people of color, we want that. I want that. I want my kids to have that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that this day is here and that we can all be a part of it. But I also feel like you have to understand that it's going to be a journey no matter what choice you take. And if you join cannabis, you're joining a legion of people who have already been in this industry forever without being titled an operator or whatever. These are all new words to us. Like when legacy first came about, the term, I looked at it as, you know, defining it as like, yo, well, if you ain't been in 20 years straight, you not legacy. How can you be legacy and you just woke up? You a customer. You could be a connoisseur or something like that, but you don't really play a role in this unless you play a role. Unless you're a grower who's risking his life, who has a shotgun to protect his facility, you know, unless you're a dealer who's risking his life, getting on a plane with money, doing whatever he has to do, risking the police, running up in his house, taking your money, being looked upon as a loser by society because either you smoke weed, you sell weed, it's in your possession. Even if you like weed, people will be like, I don't want to deal with him. Or I don't want to deal with that situation. So just know that when you get in this cannabis game, that there are people who have been in this for a long time that are way ahead of your entry. Way ahead, way ahead, way ahead. Financially, mentally, spiritually. So if you join this industry, I feel like it's something that you really want to do as a business. And there's plenty of businesses in America that you could join. And you probably make more money off of it than trying to sell weed. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's a little bit of my backstory and how I feel about things, you know. It's on the intro.
Appreciate you. And I think you made the journey down from Harlem, didn't you?
Huh?
You made the journey down from Uptown, didn't you?
The journey, it was right here in New York City,
Yeah.
you know.
But I mean, today you made the journey. You came down from Uptown this morning, right?
Yeah, I came from Uptown. You know, I have a venue in Brooklyn called the Smokers Club Lounge, where if you want to come hang out and smoke some weed and chill and get some good vibes, you're always welcome to pull up.
You know, we Brooklynites go to Harlem every now and again. We gotta take an overnight bag, but yeah,
I packed some trail mix in my bag.
some trail mix, some snacks for the road. So we're gonna wrap this panel up with one single question for all the panelists. The director of the Office of Cannabis Management, Chris Alexander, is often quoted as saying, social equity isn't a thing, it's the thing. So, briefly, 1 minute, what does social equity in cannabis mean to you, and how in 5 years, when New York's emerging market has matured, will we know that we have built a market where social equity is the thing? And I'm gonna go ahead and start back with you, Vickiana.
Sure. So there's an issue that I get in trouble sometimes for being a little too honest. But like John Lewis says, we all gotta get into some good trouble sometimes. There's an issue that I'm seeing now, which is the licenses are opening up, people are very excited, but there's resources that are missing to be able to launch those businesses. So I would hope that in 5 years, it would be streamlined, a main streamline created for any participant in the cannabis industry that wants to have a business. It comes with the opportunity not only to apply for license, but also for financial resources. Because if you give me a license, hypothetically, and you say, hey, Vic, open up shop, that's gonna be a little tough for me at this time. Universities don't pay what you think. So there needs to be like grants, business resources for these different entrepreneurs. That's what I would love to see.
Thank you. Kenneth?
So in my role at the city, heading up the Black Entrepreneurs NYC initiative, I can answer that question, what does equity look like, with one word, and that's ownership. Ownership. Say it again.
One more time.
Ownership. Okay, that means licenses are going to be distributed and certain people are going to be able to get the card license this time around. In 5 years, I want to make sure that those black and brown people who own those licenses, who receive those today, still retain those licenses. They are not bought out by larger corporate interests that have just swooped in because these business owners have not been supported as they should be. When we look at the numbers here in New York City, and I'm speaking about a broader community, but I'd like to use a specific example of black people in New York City to make the case. 22% of people in this city identify as black. However, according to recent numbers, only 3.5% of the firms, businesses owned in New York City are black owned. Think about that. So I'm going to just say it one more time for the communities that have been previously impacted, that have had folks who have been on the run, who have been in the shadows doing this work for years, and there has been a market, right? But who's been paying the price, right? For those people and for our communities to make sure that this opportunity, once in a lifetime that's created, is created to prioritize our economic interests. In 5 years, I want to see that it's not just the card licenses, but it's the other license categories, distribution, it's cultivation, it's processing. Those licenses, we see ownership by the people, the communities that have been doing the work. And that's what I think it comes down to.
Give it up for our panelists, Kenneth Evie, Vickiana Reyes, and Shice Bubs. Appreciate y'all.